Motion is to approve the agenda moved by Grace. Begin the discussion. In favor? Opposed? Approved. Motion to approve the minutes moved by Mark and Grace. Discussion. In favor? Opposed? Approved. Unfinished business. Vote the minutes.
Thank you. So after a discussion at the last meeting, there were 3 areas in the council rules that came up as needing further clarification. So I've printed and provided you only those pages that deal with further clarification. The very first one is on page 10 that you have, and it has to do with the timing of when items may be added to the agenda, particularly by council members. You don't have the page in front of it, but it would be Rule 5B that we are talking about here. There was some discussion about trying to avoid late additions to the agenda, particularly on the Friday before a regular meeting. So currently, I've edited the rules to simply state that agenda items shall not be added after 5 p.m. on the Thursday before the regular meeting. If that is acceptable, I will keep that change. I do note that I will need to edit the entire rule to make sure that the part about 3 council members being able to add items to the agenda after 5 p.m. On Thursday will also need to be deleted entirely. So if that is acceptable to the body, I will leave it as agenda items shall not be added after 5 p.m. on Thursday. Yeah.
Yes, that accomplishes what I think, hoping to see. I think we've all, and as I have shared, I think we've all been guilty of this at different times. It's not necessarily, I think, the best way for us to interact with each other or members of the public in bringing something that late. I do want to acknowledge also that there are opportunities there are times when we have to do this, right? But that something comes up at the last minute is something that has to be addressed at the next meeting. And there is a process for that in the very next paragraph, which is that it can still be added to the agenda by a vote of council at the next meeting. And so it can be put on the agenda as a proposed item for the public to know about it. And we can add it, but it's not something that's automatically there. And the expectation is that we're for sure going to take action on it.
Yep, no, good with that.
I will only note that since this was discussed between Councilmember Medina and me on Friday, I haven't had a chance to share it with Mr. Mahoney, and he's not here today. If he sees a red flag whenever he returns, I will alert you. If he sees something that I'm missing. Then on page 12 is the next area that's been further edited since last time. That's an edit to Rule 7. In the last proposal that I brought to you at the last meeting, there was a section that dealt with sign up for a special meetings and work sessions. And now we can look at this. All right, I gotta stop talking. Okay. There are no longer signups required for special sessions and special meetings and work sessions. This also takes care of a comment that I received from Clerk Mulgrew after I shared the draft with you. She was a little bit concerned about the time for signups. If a special meeting was on a Monday, signups started on a Friday, that would become unruly. So the way it's written now, there just would be no sign up, except for work sessions. There would be a 2-minute limit. Any feedback on it? It's at the bottom of page 12.
I would personally be fine doing it at 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, well,
I was wondering what's the reason? It's because work sessions could also draw large crowds. There's just no way of predicting it. And I could use the same mechanism that we use later for council meetings, yeah, say over 30, the minute decreases. Or we could do it this way, or leave it at 3 minutes, really, whatever. We can prefer 3.
Why don't we use the same mechanism? That just makes it easier
Well-
for people, I think, easy to remember.
We can't quite do the same thing.
Yes.
Because you don't have the advanced.
Sign ups anymore. Thank you,
Right.
Mayor. Yeah, we don't have sign ups anymore, so we can't.
Oh, right, not even, it's just open mic, like,
Yeah.
get up and speak.
Yeah.
Maybe we,
Do a poll of the crowd kind of thing, or,
maybe we stick with 3 and then
yeah.
it becomes a problem, we.
Okay.
Yeah.
Change it back to 3. Right, just, okay.
Clarification, at the bottom of page 11, when it says what kind of, here the first line says, council meetings, work session, person wishing to speak or something else.
Oh, thank you. For, I will make that clarification. And then the next change is actually on page 17. And that's rule 15. And this is to address, timing around, how long the city administrator has to provide administrative feedback into an ordinance. And so what we've done is just added the parentheses, no less than 30 days. So that if the administration doesn't provide feedback, then the council member should feel free to move forward with the ordinance in that time period. Is that okay? Okay. So those are really just 3 small tweaks since we last met. And if you're okay, I'll make the changes as we've talked about today, and then actually take, I think I need a motion from this body to allow me to take the proposed changes to the full body.
Sorry, I still have one question about Rule 15.
Hmm.
What is going to be the mechanism for enforcement of this? So I guess my question here is, if we're putting no less than 30 days, I'm anticipating that we're not gonna have a problem where we're not hearing back from staff in that period, but if something gets put on and then we hear, well, actually, it's only been 28 days, and somebody says we've been working on this for, like, well, how do we know when that clock starts? And that, because, you know, I've been working with city attorneys for a couple of months on an ordinance, right? Like, at what point do we need to, in the rules, or is this just something that we formalize when this rule becomes?
So I don't think it should be in the rules, because that's more, there is a separate document that governs interaction between staff and council, and we could clarify it in there, but I think there will have to be a formal request to the administrator that we would like to introduce this ordinance, and we need your feedback on the Rule 15.
Okay.
But I can work with Ms. Higgins to make sure that that's clear in the accompanying document, that's the deadline for the interaction between staff and council.
The only other thing that I would maybe caution on 30 days in particular, I know it doesn't seem like a long time, but also if something has been getting worked on for months, and then if we determine that this process doesn't start until we have a final ordinance to submit to the administrator's office, I also want to make sure that we're not creating a situation where something is going to take months and months and months from beginning to end. I think this is an important process, but I also want to make sure that we're not kind of creating an automatic 30-day delay on anything, because we have to wait until we're done with the drafting process and then the 30 days starts or something. When that's something I guess we can work through, but 30 days could be a long time for something that's been getting worked on for a long time already as well. And so I just want to, I think our intent here is obviously to bring the appropriate staff into the process at the appropriate time, but I would hesitate to that being like, we have a final draft, and that's when this 30-day starts, and then we get into a process where every time there's another month added on to the clock. And so I don't know necessarily how to get around that with this, but I don't know if maybe do others feel that 30 days is too long or too short. I also acknowledge that the administrator is not here. And so,
Better than open-ended.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, maybe that's something that we should be keeping in mind and talking with, the attorney's office, like, when we have something that's formulated enough for the administrator to be able to.
Opine on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
As that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think a lot of this is less rule and more process that we have to develop, but I just want to make sure we're thinking about it because
Yeah.
I can see situations where people could get really frustrated when they feel like something's done, and then there's actually like another month added onto the process, so.
But I think if we keep that in mind, like, as long as the broad parameters of the ordinance have been identified, this is what we're trying to do, even though the drafting is not every I dotted and T
Yeah.
crossed, maybe we can.
Yeah, I mean, and hypothetically, all of these things, these conversations should be happening kind of at the same time.
Right.
But,
Right.
but, so I guess maybe it is, on us if we wait until the very last minute to loop in the administrator's office. But, because I think all of these are, I mean, the fiscal piece was a piece that was really important to me. Obviously staffing impacts that as well. And so all of those are really important things for us to have as information. But I just want to make sure that as we implement this process.
Actually, Ms. Higgins raised with me the fact that after we've done this, probably the next document that we should look at is that interaction document. And if the processes are not clear, that we should make them clearer.
All right.
Group 5. Sabina. Briggs, discussion?
Wait, I'm sorry, one more question about, I don't think it's in this section, but, the vote to waive the time limit for a public comment, we had talked about potentially eliminating that, but then there was, I think, Councilmember Iyer asked if, that would maybe revert into Robert's Rules of Order for a rule about time extension. So was it an update to that, or did we decide if you do leave that as?
Mr. Frost researched it, and the way it was written is acceptable under the Robert's rules. Unless, of course, if we wanted to change it, we could, but under the Robert's rules, it was acceptable.
Okay. So, yeah, it's okay. There, some people are okay with having that, and just it's not, hey, if everyone agrees, because that's okay with me, man. We'll run into that.
Okay, so, so we have a motion to bring the rules to the full body, right? And so I'm gonna finalize the rules, and probably the May 6th meeting is what I would target. Okay?
All in favor? Opposed? It's approved. You do this.
Nothing from me, thank you.
What it says.
Okay, so city attorney update. Mr. McDonald is retiring. No. Well, I do have one update, actually. Valerie Jackson is an attorney who's been working with Valerie Brader on energy-related matters for the city. And Valerie Jackson has actually been representing the city in front of the MPSC and making the argument. After consultation with Mr. Mahoney and Dr. Stoll, we've written Valerie Jackson in-house, because it will be less expensive. She went through a whole interview process. We posted a position. Lots of people applied, but the team still thought she was the best. And she is starting on April 22nd. And she will be embedded with Dr. Stoll's team. I mean, she is very much a part of our team, but she will also be attending their staff meetings and she's being, in the project from the beginning. Because one of the issues that we had was that sometimes the very innovative staff of OSI would bring us a project towards the tail end, and then we'd have to say, oh, but you can't do this, this, this. So we're hoping that he'll be in from the beginning and be able to set them.
I think that's great. Is she dual reporting or is she reporting to you and just?
Hardline me and Guardline.
With regards to Mr. McDonald's, retirement, I think that's a challenge.
Yeah, it's a huge challenge.
I can't remember if email reported it, I gave them the, actually,
He hasn't picked a date. He has just said third quarter of 2024. He hasn't selected an actual date. So I'm gonna try and make it September into July. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, he has been very honest with me since the day I started that this was not far. He knew he was eligible in 2023. So, you know, I can't blame him for wanting to take on new challenges of life. And he has stayed and, you know, helped me really adjust. I'm really grateful to him. I think finding somebody with his skill set is going to be very difficult. Really, truly, even if we did a statewide search, it would be difficult. So what I'm trying to achieve right now is for him to do a full transfer of knowledge to Nicole on the city's development process. Because if you take away his job as chief deputy city attorney, his land job consists of zoning, development agreements with the city, and increasingly real estate, right? And I think you could find good experienced attorneys doing real estate, perhaps even more experienced than Mr. McDonald, because the city hasn't historically done real estate transactions. You could find attorneys who know zoning, but you won't be able to find attorneys that know the city's development process, which has basically been him for 20 years. So I'm trying to make sure that there is a transfer of knowledge on that from Mr. McDonald to Ms. Rogers, so that we can at least have that skill set and find the other two. That's sort of the plan. And I have no plans of selecting a new chief deputy in the future. I know I have to think of succession, but I think I'm not, it's a bit premature. Yes, there was. Indeed, life moves fast.
Always right. Is there any information or upcoming business? We now come to public comment. There's no members of the public in the room. If there's a member of the public online wishing to speak at public comment, please enter *9 now. No, public comments closed. Have a motion to please move by, higher discussion, all in favor, opposed,